character.
Woke up at 11 o'clock, I ain't got no job, what the hell should I do today?
I'm actually an elite friend that can get you out of any situation. A little backstory real quick. I was on a date with this dude a long time ago and I was having a terrible time. So I texted my friend and I was like, please call me with an emergency to get me out of here. She called me like this. Hey, you wanted me to call you? That is so awkward! But last night, my friend texted me and told me that he was somewhere he didn't want to be. So I said, do you want me to call you with an emergency? And he said, like, what? And I was like, I'll just start hysterically crying. So he texts me, he's like, yeah, do it now. He answers, hello? And I'm all like, can you please just talk to me? I just really need somebody right now. He starts busting out laughing. I start busting out laughing, but he got out of there.
Story time on how my best friend turned into my boyfriend. So this was my group of friends, Gavin, Pierce, which is my boyfriend, and then Jack. We all hung out every single day and got super close, but Pierce and I kind of had a little crush on each other. I was always the one to sit in the front with him. And then our first year of college started and he started driving me to school every single day, but we were just friends. And then one day after school, he was like, hey, do you want to come over and like hang out? And I was like, yeah, sure, like thinking that we're just going to hang out as friends. And then he tries to hook up with me. And I'm like, hell nah. I'm not the hookup type. So I was like, yeah, not into this guy anymore. But our group kept hanging out, so I kept seeing him. And then like he realized that he actually really liked me, so he tried to earn like my respect, you know? We started hanging out like every day after school and we just have like super long talks, like hang out for like 6 hours straight. But I was playing hard to get because I was like, I want to see if this guy's like legit. Like, is he going to treat me good? And then one day we kissed, like for part two on how my best friend turned into my boyfriend. So basically we kissed and we realized that we really liked each other, but we still never told our two other best friends that we had anything going on. We honestly like didn't want to upset them or make them feel uncomfortable, so we didn't know how to tell them, and we also wanted to make sure that we were going to end up actually dating before we said anything. But we basically didn't tell them for like 2 months straight, so we were like secretly a thing for so long. We would go behind the car and like kiss super quick when they weren't looking. Like, I feel kind of bad that like they didn't know. But I was like, when is this guy gonna ask me out? Like, does he even like me that much? And then one day he picks me up and he gives me these and he asked me to be his girlfriend and he told me that he loved me the same day. And this is the picture we took that day. It was really cute. Like, it makes me want to cry a little bit. And then we told all of our friends, and this is the first picture I posted of us on Instagram. And he gets me flowers every single anniversary. And now we've been together for 8 months. Here's the part 3 that you guys have all been waiting for. So after like a month went by of us dating, we still never told his dad or his stepmom, and like only my mom knew and his mom knew. So we kind of still had to tell them that we weren't just friends anymore. And they pretty much just said that they could tell that there was something going on between us. After all that, we had our first Christmas together. He came to my house for Christmas Eve, and then the next day I went to his house for a little bit. And then time was going by, and we were doing so good. Like, me and him just worked so well together. I swear, guys, date your best friend. It's the best. And then it was my first Valentine's Day with a boyfriend, and he did all of this for me. It was the cutest thing I've ever seen. This was us on Valentine's Day and also at my brother's wedding. And then it was my birthday, and he got me this ring. And then in March, Corona started happening. We spent all of quarantine together. And then long story short, he ended up moving in with me. Then we decided we needed a break from Cali for a little bit, so we went on a road trip to see his mom in Arkansas. And we currently have been here for 2 months, and we are actually leaving in a couple of days. And that's it.
So my ex-boyfriend bought me a promise ring, took me to Disney World, went into the army, broke up with me through a letter. It gets better. For a 14-year-old girl who raises cattle.
So when I was 2, my dad bought one of his first cell phones, and I decided to put it in the microwave, but he tells the story a little bit better.
So I'm over there folding clothes, and I'm folding clothes, and Bella comes up to me, and she's like, Dada, hot. And it's like, yeah, okay, hold on. And I'm still folding clothes, and she's like being very persistent, pulling on my shirt. It's, Dada, hot. It's like, yeah, hold on. I got like, 30 more seconds, I'm done with the clothes. Anyway, I sort of brush her off again, and then she's like pulling on my shirt. She's like, Dada, phone hot, Dada. And I think, phone hot. And then I smelt something. As I walk into the kitchen, I see flames shooting out of the microwave. I turned it off, and look, and there's flames. I got the flames out, couldn't tell what it was, and I got a spatula, flipped it over, and see my phone, and thought, phone hot, dada.
Of high school, I had a good group of friends, but at the time, my group of friends started getting pretty toxic. Everyone would just pretty much talk about each other, and then the next day when we would all see each other, it would be like nothing ever happened. There was this one guy, his name was James. He was a football player. He was pretty cute. Most girls were pretty attracted to him, but he was one of my really good friends at the time. And one of my friends in the group, let's call her Lucy, I guess she had a really, really big crush on him, but I had no idea at the time. One day at lunch, James sent me a funny meme on Snapchat, and I said, oh my gosh, you guys, look, this is so funny. And I could see, like, Lucy, she was so mad, I could just tell, and I was just really confused why. And basically, all my friends took sign language, and I was the only one in my group that took Spanish. So Lucy started signing. She was just signing like crazy, and I can tell she was really mad. And one of the girls in the group who I was closest to, we'll call her Lily, I leaned over and I was like, Lily, like, what is she saying? Closest to, we'll call her Lily. I leaned over and I was like, Lily, like, what is she saying? Lily told me everything that she was saying, how I was trying to steal James from her and how I'm doing this on purpose, even though I had no idea at the time that Lucy did have a crush on him. And that night I was doing a Spanish presentation, so that's all I was focused on, and I get a text message from my friend. She says, are you okay? Like, do you know what's happening? I text her back. I'm like, what's happening? And she ends up FaceTiming me about 5 minutes later. And she says, do you know, like, why am I in this chat? I was like, what chat? And she sends me a bunch of screenshots, and the chat is called We Hate Taya. And I was just speechless. And I looked through it, and she added all these random people that weren't even in our friend group. It was just a bunch of messages about me, and really, really hateful messages, and how I'm just trying to steal James, and how I'm annoying, and all this other stuff. I just feel sick to my stomach. I remember just sitting there, and I start screaming in the bathroom, and I ended up throwing up. My mom runs upstairs, and I just told her what happened. I'm crying hysterically. I was mentally just broken down. It was really bad. The next day, I felt pretty worthless, honestly. Like, I felt like I lost all my friends. Only one girl from the group stood by me. I'm a senior now, and Lucy's actually in my English class, but we're just acquaintances. I do forgive her, but I'll never forget what she did, and it'll always be there. And I'm on dance team now this year, and I have better friends now. So, lesson is, if you are in a group with friends and it's just getting really toxic, I suggest to just find better friends, because in the end, it's not worth it, because you will be dragged down with the negativity and the toxic energy that they bring.
Story time. I can get away with a lot because of my mom. My mom was extremely popular in high school. She won prom queen, homecoming queen, you name it, she won it. There are boys that she went to high school with that still hit her up 30 years later. Anyway, a couple of weeks ago, I got a parking ticket. I parked next to a fire hydrant for 3 hours. This morning, I went to court to try to fight it. But the first thing the judge asked me was, how do you plead? I was like, I'm guilty. It was an accident, though. He didn't give me much room to explain myself. At the end of it, he basically let me off. As my mom and I were walking out, I was like, Mom, what the fuck just happened? She told me she went to high school with the judge. That explains it.
Alright, so if you live in the Calgary area, you're likely aware of Heritage Park. If not, hello my foreign friend, welcome to my TikTok page. Allow me to explain. Heritage Park is a historical park around the southwest end of Calgary. It features a lot of Western history between the 1860s and 1950s, except for the Ferris wheel. But come on, who doesn't like the Ferris wheel? As a pure-blood Calgarian, I've been to Heritage Park many times, both for fun field trips and the boring look at this old stuff educational one. One of the many years that I had this field trip was during my grade 5-6 class. Before the field trip, my dad gave me $40 to buy what I wanted, which was a rare kindness of his. So I went to Heritage with my 40, and sometime around lunch I was in the candy shop. Yes, the park has a candy shop. No, I'm not sure how historically accurate it is, but hey, we love the candy shop too. While I was perusing the lovely candy aisles, I happened to run into Skylar, who said she was just looking because she didn't bring any money. So in my youthful optimism, I thought to myself, if I buy her candy, she's gotta like me. I offered to buy her some, and then she asked if I'd buy her friends some. No, I didn't want to seem like I liked her, so I said sure. Then both of them spent my $40 on candy. Funny enough, after that, Skylar didn't hang out with me for the rest of the field trip. Ya boy got played.
Story time, and I'm going to expose my sister. So, my sister and her boyfriend have been dating for a while, but when they first started to get to know each other, she really needed to take a shit. So she went to the bathroom while he and his roommate were both in the apartment, and I guess they didn't have very good soundproof walls, so she was like, I don't want them to hear me take a giant shit. So she takes a bunch of toilet paper and lays it down on the surface of the toilet bowl water, so that when she takes a shit, it doesn't like make a loud sound. But she put too much in, and then it started clogging the toilet right away. And so she's freaking out as the toilet bowl is overflowing and all of her little poops are coming out. And so she runs out and she's like, hey, I need help. Like, I just like threw up or something, because she thought that was less embarrassing. And then her boyfriend comes in to see all of her little shits everywhere with water all over the floor. And this was a true moment for their relationship, because he bent down and started helping her pick up her own little turds. And they are still together to this day.
This is the reason why I treat people the way that I do. And this is how a toxic friend changed my life. Let's set the scene. 5th grade. I had a best friend, not gonna name her. We were like this. We were partners for everything. Always sat next to each other. If the teacher said team up, she'd be like, I wanna be with Joe today. So we would team up. But if we were ever on a team and we were losing, she would blame me. If I got a question wrong, she would call me dumb. If I shared my snacks with her, she wouldn't share any of hers back with me. You guys know those Cosmo brownies with the sprinkles? I would literally force my mom to buy those just for her. And when I'd ask for a chip, she'd be like, never willing to share. We would get into fights a lot. And in turn, I started being mean. But up until that point, I was a pretty wild child. Pretty crazy. Hyper. This girl would make me feel stupid for getting questions wrong, for not being fast enough in PE, but then the next day would want to be my best friend. I felt like a failure a lot. If I won anything, I'd have to give it to her. And I was mean too. I didn't like the person I was around her. Until eventually in art class, I legitimately had an epiphany. She was copying my artwork. I was a pretty good artist. She knew that, so she was copying me. Look for part 2. This is part 2 in how a toxic friend changed my life. As she was copying my artwork, which honestly was probably tearing me up on the inside, again, this was 5th grade, I had this little epiphany. I was staring at her copying my work, and I thought to myself, I will never treat anyone like this girl has treated me. And I live by that. It has completely fundamentally changed the way I view friendship, relationships in general. To treat someone with kindness and respect, to put other people first, not expect anything in return, and to also know my worth. It helped me so much going into middle school. I picked my friends. I never fought with any of my friends. To this day, that was the last person I fought with, because I chose the people I surrounded myself with. Good people who again treated me with kindness and respect. It also taught me to be a good host. When someone comes into your house, please treat them with kindness and respect. Give them attention. Do you want water? Would you like to watch TV? Talk to them, ask them questions. This is how I make all my friends. Meeting someone new, showing an interest in them, offering things to them, letting them speak, never letting them feel like they're stupid. Never. Showing them their value, showing them their worth, but also knowing your own. I never had any issues in high school. No issues in middle school. I don't know, I just wanted to share. Okay, thank you, God bless.
Here's a story about my first ever crush. This was back in 8th grade in middle school. I don't want to say the girl's name. But one day, the teacher made all of us throw papers at each other. It was really fun. And there was this girl, whenever she threw papers at me, she had this distinct smile. And it made me smile. And I loved it, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. I mean, there was other girls in the class that would smile and stuff, but for some reason, her smile stuck to me so damn much. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I told my friends about it. And they told me that I was deeply in love with her, and I should go and tell her. And I said, really? And they said, yeah. That's what a guy does. Usually when they like a girl, they just go up and confess and tell her. Honestly, to just tell her how they feel. I was like, okay. So I did. I told her honestly how I felt, and she appreciated it. Then she just stopped talking to me, found another guy, etc.
Put a finger down if you have a dad that works with the FBI and is way overprotected. So when you're a freshman in high school, you had your first boyfriend and your dad invites him over for dinner. And when your boyfriend gets there, your dad's cleaning his guns on the kitchen table. And then your dad proceeds to tell him that whatever you do to my daughter, I'll do to you. So if you get my daughter's pants, I'll get in yours.